What a week coming up for the Miami Dolphins, 6-2 against the 6-2 Chiefs. And oh yeah, the game's being played in Germany. So the Dolphins need to win on the field to take over the best record in the AFC. And we need to win in the sub battle because right now we are losing to the Chiefs report. We've had 15 new subs this week. The Chiefs report with 32. So help us beat the Chiefs on the field and in the sub department. Subscribe to Dolphins Today right now for daily Dolphins coverage and a preview of Dolphins versus Chiefs. Listen, it is a huge game coming up for both the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. You could argue this is the marquee matchup in Week 9. And oh yes, one more added wrinkle. It's being played at a neutral site in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. And what a spectacle that will be on Sunday. It's a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, so that's an early one. And you take a look at the point spread. This one, experts say the Chiefs are the favorite at a narrow 2.5 spread and a pretty high-scoring game expected with the over-under being set at 50. And why wouldn't it be? The Dolphins have the best offense in the National Football League at 33.9 points per game. They're 6-2 on the season. Defensively, 25th right now in scoring defense, allowing 25.5 points per game. And on the other side, the Kansas City Chiefs. The defense has actually been the identity of this team, which is kind of crazy when you consider Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on the other side of the football. But, of course, they've been fantastic as well. But Kansas City's defense currently second, allowing just 16.1 points per game. So, yes, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are coming off arguably their worst game together. Patrick Mahomes didn't have a touchdown against the Broncos. They lost to the Broncos for the first time in Mahomes' career. And the Dolphins are coming off a win against a division rival in the Patriots at home at Hard Rock Stadium. But this game's in Germany. It's the 6-2 Dolphins versus the 6-2 Chiefs. You got to let me know in the comments who you got. Type D for Dolphins or C for Chiefs. And I did mention the Chiefs are coming off, in many experts' minds, an unexplainable loss to the Denver Broncos. That's right. The Denver Broncos, who the Miami Dolphins beat in Week 3, 70-20. 70-20. This Dolphins offense scored 10 touchdowns against the Broncos. This Chiefs offense scored zilch, zero, nada. It was insane to watch. In fact, I'm still rewatching the film to make sure what I saw actually happened. It was the first loss of Patrick Mahomes in his career to the Denver Broncos. It was the Chiefs' first loss to the Broncos since 2015. It's 2023, people. Bizarre. And Patrick Mahomes failed to throw a touchdown for the first time in several years since 2021. And his 8 interceptions are tied for the most in the NFL. So Patrick Mahomes, yes, he is as dynamic as they get, but he has had his fair share of struggles in 2023. But I'll caution you, and I think everybody knows this already, not so fast. Patrick Mahomes is still elite, and while they haven't always put it together yet this season, the Chiefs are still 6-2, an impressive record, and vying for that number 1 seed in the AFC. So just because he had a bad game against the Broncos, there was a lot of reports that he was under the weather, and now, probably more than ever, he'll be looking for that bounce-back game against the Miami Dolphins, which means this is a prime opportunity for the Dolphins defense to have a prove-it game, a chance to make their mark. And this Dolphins team as a whole, for that matter, because let's not forget, the narrative around this Dolphins team is what, Jake? Tell us. That's right. The Dolphins can't beat a good team. You've heard it. I've heard it. Of course, we've all heard this Dolphins team can't beat the good team. They only beat bad teams. So 6-2 versus 6-2. This is a chance for Miami to shut up the haters, and I expect to see them do that on Sunday. But I want to ask you, what do you expect? Put on your prediction hat and predict that score for me in the comments. Dolphins 6-2, Chiefs 6-2. Let me know in the comments your score prediction. Coming up next, we're going to talk about what exactly you should be watching for on Sunday and the intriguing pieces of the matchup in this one. We're going to break it all down. But first, I want to tell you about Prize Picks and shout them out because they are a proud presenting sponsor of Dolphins Today. And Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform, and it's the best. Listen, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but you know I am 100% honest when I tell you that Prize Picks is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It adds a whole nother wrinkle to watching and consuming sports. It is a blast, let me tell you. And I got pretty good with these Prize Picks. I'm not going to lie. I was 3 for 3 last Sunday in my Prize Picks. So I passed the ball over to producer Jack, and I said, Jack, what do you got for me this week on the Prize Picks? And we're keeping it simple this week, folks, which I love. We're picking more on Tua Tagovailoa's projected passing yards and less on Patrick Mahomes' passing yards. So I led by example in this one and showing you how Prize Picks works, but it's very simple. You pick more or less on a player's projected stat line. That can be receiving yards, touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards. You name it, Prize Picks has it and an entire portfolio of awesome picks to make for any given game. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS for a $100 deposit match. That's right, $100 deposit match waiting for you at prizepicks.com/CLNS. We've got the link for you in the description of today's video, so we make it really easy for you. But one more time, just in case you weren't paying attention, it's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Couple of things to watch for in this AFC showdown. AFC West versus AFC East, played in Germany. And anytime it's a neutral site, especially when it's across the pond and overseas, the travel itinerary or the travel logistics come into play. And so I'm keeping my eye on which team handles the change in scenery the best. Earlier, this from Charles Goldman of A to Z Sports. Again, this doesn't necessarily tell us one thing or the other, but what it does tell us is that the two teams have drastically different approaches to this game in Germany. The Dolphins already in Germany. In fact, they left on Sunday. The Chiefs, meanwhile, won't leave for Germany until Thursday afternoon. So, I think Charles asked a good question here. What gives? Lots of experience and research goes into these types of decisions, and I'm not a sleep expert or a doctor or anything crazy like that. I just think it's interesting to note that the two teams had drastically different approaches to the game in Germany. So I've got my eye on who can handle the change in scenery better. Now, this is an elite quarterback matchup. In fact, it's the type of matchup you circle on the calendar and say, we are watching generationally good quarterbacks. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has a little bit more impressive and decorated of a resume as far as the Super Bowls and the MVPs are concerned, but Tua's been the unquestioned better quarterback this year. We showed you that graphic a couple days ago that Tua is first in practically every quarterback statistical category. But look at the completion percentage. The yards are impressive. The touchdowns are there. And both of these quarterbacks are a little bit higher in that interception category than they'd like to be. They've turned the ball over a couple times. And again, Patrick Mahomes coming off arguably one of his worst games of his career. And so it's a bounce-back opportunity for him. And meanwhile, Tua Tagovailoa with his receivers of Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, maybe even we'll see Chase Claypool, Durham Smythe has caught some balls. Cedric Wilson caught his first touchdown last Sunday against the Patriots. Braxton Berrios has been in there as well. Point being, Tua's playing at an MVP level, and to be the best, you've got to dethrone the best, which has been Patrick Mahomes. I've got my eyes on that elite quarterback matchup. The Dolphins' run game is another interesting component to the game plan because they have the number one rushing offense in the NFL, they being the Miami Dolphins, but the last 2 weeks against Miami and then on Sunday against the Patriots, it's been a little bit below the level of output that's become expected. Raheem Mostert still has been on a tear, though. He, in fact, is tied for the most touchdowns in the NFL with Christian McCaffrey. And look at the numbers there in the game against the Patriots. The yardage was well below his season average, but he still was able to find the end zone. Meanwhile, Jeff Wilson Jr. has stepped into that RB2 position. So those two guys have to add that extra wrinkle. The offense can't be one-dimensional. You got to be able to run it. And against the Eagles in that loss on Sunday Night Football, the Dolphins' offense was very one-dimensional. And they were a little bit better this following Sunday against the Patriots, but still not to the level that we're coming to expect. And they'll have a tough task because this Chiefs defense, I said it earlier, has been the identity of this Kansas City Chiefs team in their 6-2 start, which is a little bit different than Chiefs teams in the past. But look at the notes there on the Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're allowing the second least amount of points in the NFL at just 16.1 points per game. And they also get after you. They're opportunistic. They force 15 turnovers, just tied for the fifth most. That's been the strength of this Chiefs team. They've won a lot of games because of their defense. So I've got my eyes on that. And like I mentioned, it is a prove-it game for the Dolphins defense. The Chiefs defense, they've got a proven resume. The Dolphins defense, meanwhile, has been a little bit of a roller coaster. Some really good games, and then some other games leaves you scratching your head wondering if Vic Fangio is the guy to be the defensive coordinator. But I believe this Dolphins defense is trending in the right direction. They're starting to get a lot more production out of Bradley Chubb and that entire defensive line. They're getting pressure on quarterbacks. They're third in the NFL in sacks. And oh yeah, by the way, Jalen Ramsey is back and looking amazing. He had the interception in his debut on Sunday. So I've said my thoughts. I got to hear from you. Sound off in the comments. I've told you what I'm watching for. You let me know. The Dolphins win on Sunday if they do what? How do the Dolphins get it done against the Chiefs and move to 7-2? Let me know in the comments. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to our preview of Dolphins Chiefs. One thing's for sure, AFC supremacy is up for grabs in the AFC. It's 6-2 versus 6-2. The winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for the number one overall seed and, of course, a first-round bye. So lots on the line, and it's in Germany. We're going to have a live watch party for the game. We always do, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single thing. Dolphins versus Chiefs, 6-2 versus 6-2, AFC East versus AFC West. It's a showdown in Germany. Can't wait for Sunday. Join us then, Dolphins versus Chiefs.